Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Well, it's Wednesday. Still a pretty light economic week, but the treasuries continue to be pressured, probably because of the bill that Congress is trying to push through doesn't really help the deficit. So let us go to the charts. So here we got ZN. Yesterday started out on selling, but man, what a reversal it was. Fortunately, here in the overnight, they have been able to push lower. I don't know if they have a whole lot of fuel to continue that pressure. In fact, I'm kind of seeing a little bit of buying here, but that's where we're at here. The S&P 500 kind of on a pretty long downtrend here. Pushing back to the, what is it, 5,900 area? Oil spiking hard yesterday on a report that Israel is thinking about striking Iran nuclear facilities again. That is causing a lot of geopolitical risk in oil. Gold and silver also up a little bit from yesterday. It seemed like, you know, the changes that we got, like with the Japanese yen and their failed bond auction and everything, the only thing that really ended up moving in the end was gold. Here you can see, well, silver moved too, but it's of course always lagging. Copper, there, you know, there's stuff going on in copper, but the price movement there continues to be lackluster. Japanese yen, they continue to be on a pretty steady uptrend, and the dollar on a pretty steady downtrend, with the dollar down to 99.5. And then Bitcoin, hey, actually Bitcoin was able to make another push higher. I don't know if there's really anything to say about that one, but my back is unhappy. Well, there they are ticking up, and I am reading some positive flows from it. Not to the point that the robot would take something. Well, let's see here. We do have some Fed speakers today, right? Lane, Barkin, but that's not until long after the stream. Oh, it's a 20-year bond auction today. That's important. Okay. So we should be on the lookout for the icebergs. The iceberg city today. I don't know. I don't really feel like we have a whole lot to talk about today. That came back pretty quick, didn't it? The robot took a pretty awful place. That's one where I think that if, I wasn't lazy and had written the little algo part. Well, let's see here. Yeah, really zoom in on it, huh? When this one closed, they were both less than 1400. So probably wouldn't get it right based on the imbalance, but had it placed the limit order, it probably could have gotten short at 26 instead of 25 half. And I didn't see, I'm thinking that what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it, always place the limit order unless the, one side is less than 900 or something like that. For it to make sense for it to hit in with a market order. There's some real selling coming in here, actually. And the way that it's coming through reminds me very much of some of the action that we had yesterday, which kind of has me thinking bond vigilantes. Amir, good morning. Do you have a discount code for Zero Hedge? Somebody asked in Discord. No, I wish. I don't think such a thing exists. And if there was such a thing, I don't think they'd give it to me. Gold also has... Oh, yeah, you're right. That was a good catch. They're selling pretty hard over there. It's not necessarily enough for it to, like, really trigger my radars and everything. But if you were directly trading gold, you would definitely be looking at it like, uh-oh. Okay, so some aggressive selling did come through, but it doesn't seem to have much follow through, and they ticked back up and are pressuring those sellers now. I saw a little bit of change there. Man. So here's a guy, he applied to 10,000 different DevOps jobs. So just in the US, he sent out 2,000 applications, and he got 18 human interviews from that. That is pretty insane. That's 0.8% response rate. My rate was much better than that. maybe the AI just does a really terrible job of building a resume. Roy says he's still a no on the tax bill, huh? Wow. So, yesterday I was talking about there's this whole thing that Republicans think that if they cut rates, that if they cut rates, that if they cut taxes, that it will result in greater growth, right? And so pretty much any tax bill that they put out ends up being, cut taxes. And the CVO doesn't score them, that way, where you get a certain amount of growth and yada, yada, yada. But they do like alternate scenarios. They say, like, what would be the deficit if this? Here's like our baseline assumptions. And then what would be the deficit if growth went at this rate, right? And even under like the really rosy positive growth scenarios, the current bill being proposed increases the deficit considerably. So it doesn't surprise me that Roy is not into it. It doesn't sound to me like a serious effort to reduce the deficit. It sounds like we just need to get something through. Highest open interest is 111 that expire on Friday, really. They can be pretty disappointed at the moment, huh? Oh, here we go. Not doing too well this morning on the temperature in here. Maybe I should open the door. I'm gonna do it. Maybe they'll push them up to get to K. I don't know. Like, I'm really skeptical about the idea that like moves are orchestrated in a way to help the options expire worthless. I think that it's just what tends to happen on its own. That it's really hard for the market to move further than what the options are pricing. Oh my gosh, that air coming in is so much cooler. I tell you what, after that selling kind of pushes down a little bit. I was going to say, or I said earlier, they moved up and it kind of pressured them a little bit. They're still doing that, but it really has not done much of anything interesting. It's just kind of been dead. That's not right. Okay. So I got it 10%. Great. We're watching paint dry. There was another little wave of selling there. For a day that we have an auction, it's particularly I guess it does make me a little bit more optimistic that we'll get another little move up towards the 110-ish area, because we've had this move down overnight, and that move down did not really trigger anybody or result in more orders. Then how is that move going to sustain itself? It's probably not. It's probably going to reverse. Have to wait for the equities open? You might be right. Now's not necessarily why would they move now? I mean, it can just be random, but entry-level tech hiring is down 50%. Klarna CEO said that AI helped the company shrink the workforce by 40%. What? Man, yesterday I was working on what was I doing? I was making a build that would build the Docker container and then upload the resulting image to an image repository. And the stuff that I had to do to get an image that would actually do what I wanted it to do was so frustrating. And that, ChatGPT did not help. Did not help yesterday. The answers that it gave were so dumb. I'm still kind of going back and looking at it. I was like, did I do this way more complicated than it needed to be? Because this shouldn't be that hard. This seems like a standard use case, but whatever. So when I see these people saying like, oh, we reduced our workforce and everything, I think that companies are just not hiring people and or reducing their workforce and just kind of ignoring the consequences, and a year or two from now they'll see and end up having to play catch up. Be right back. Oh yeah, I muted myself when I went to foam roll my back. Yeah, I just, it's so dead. I really don't think that you can feel comfortable in any kind of a position here, right? I mean, if you're short, it'd be better to be short from the higher end of the range. When Matrix tells me that it's 26, it makes me awfully suspicious. It's when they're, you know, their position is basically the best position you could have gotten in the time frame, off one tick because there was no volume there. Okay, but it's still can move 4 ticks pretty easily here in this situation. So gold shows some weakness. Well, gold retraced a lot of its decline, so I was looking there at the rates and I was like, well, is there going to be anybody there at 4.5? Just 2 contracts there. It's better on the downside than on the upside, though, the liquidity is. Wow, Canadian government is paying companies 70% of a new graduate's salary for a few months to encourage companies to hire in tech. Really? That's wild. That offer at 27 really reacted to that uptick for some reason. I think it may be just that this whole area is kind of becoming flighty, but okay. That won't hold. Yeah, I was just thinking about it. Like, today is Wednesday. I don't think I've ever seen a Wednesday this bad. You guys watch sumo wrestling? Look at this sumo. Check this out. This is a crazy sumo match. It's a long one, 30 seconds.
Order canceled.
Okay, so that was it's been in a position for an hour and it exited. Isn't that a crazy takedown? Wild. Okay, Hazard is on Fox Business. Oh, I missed the question here. Can I ask why you use both Jigsaw and Ninja? Well, Jigsaw has the best DOM, and that's pretty essential to my trading. But I am a programmer. I like to create my own custom indicators, which you can download at speculatorseth.com, by the way. And Jigsaw doesn't allow custom indicators yet, so there may be a point in the future where Jigsaw adds enough features I can just completely ditch a NinjaTrader. But I don't know if it'll ever actually happen. I have used it, but only just to look at the platform. Sierra chart in general is like copy all of Jigsaw's features, but with a clunky interface. It doesn't really make much sense. So I think one of the things that you have to consider on the platform is like, what is the platform going to be in the future, right? And the Jigsaw guys continue to push. I would say they've spent a long time, like the past 4 or 5 years, really kind of like just kind of re-engineering the platform and not really giving us a lot of new features, unfortunately. Sometimes I do kind of wonder what's going on over there because it has been a long time. But, you know, it takes a long time to get software like this. So I don't think it's unusual. But, you know, they continue to push. Whereas Sierra charts, it's kind of like, well, you'll get a feature after it's been proven to be a big deal for a couple of years, right? Plus, the people that run Sierra charts are kind of crazy. So now I forgot to do anything about it yesterday. I was so busy, but they wanted us to look at what platform was it again? ATAS. which I've heard good things about and could be a pretty suitable competitor to NinjaTrader. So we should go and do that. The team behind Sierra likes to stay very independent. I think cost-wise, the Denali feed plus Teton order routing can be good. So like the thing that really turned me off to that, to Sierra charts, was that there was a feature that was necessary for European traders to be able to use. Like if you want to use it against the European exchanges, it basically didn't support it. And when people made a thread about, trying to encourage them to change it, Sierra Charts was like, no, the world is going to end in 6 months anyways. We're not going to waste our time with that, was their response. That's where I was kind of like, especially for me, there's the additional, but what is the word? Something that I have to take into account is like, I can't just pick a platform that just works for me. I need to be able to, a platform that new people that are coming in and are viewers and want to try and use the same things that I'm using, that they'll be able to do it practically, right? The setup that I have is a little wonky, the way that I'm doing it, to be able to go into both platforms, because I have to go into Rhythmic Trader Pro, and then from Rhythmic Trader Pro, both NinjaTrader and Jigsaw can do it, but the licenses that you buy now will not give you that access. You can do it with a demo account, but not, with a demo license, but not the full license. So that bothers me, and that's kind of the thing that I dislike the most about NinjaTrader. But to fix that, I would essentially have to go over to using NinjaTrader as my data broker and using the bridge again, which then I wouldn't be able to use Jigsaw charts and things like that. So I just don't like it, right? So, but I think that NinjaTrader and Jigsaw have both been really good partners. And then I go and I look at the sorts of things that are happening over there on Sierra charts, and I'm like, do I really want that to be my partner? So, and I guess the thing that always has kind of rubbed me the wrong way about Sierra charts is that I see a lot of people go over to Sierra charts because they don't want to pay the upfront fee for Jigsaw, right? Jigsaw, to start out, you have to pay $500, and then you're paying a monthly fee on top of that. Well, Sierra charts, you don't have to pay the $500 at the beginning, but and the monthly fee to have all of the features is $30. So people look at that and they say, okay, Jigsaw is $50 a month, Sierra charts is $30 a month, so that's cheaper, and I don't have to do the upfront fee either, so Sierra charts is cheaper, isn't it? But when you actually use the data feed and all of that, you actually find that the cost is pretty comparable. That the Sierra charts is maybe a little bit more expensive. So basically, the Jigsaw monthly fee plus your data fee on some regular broker versus the Sierra charts, complete amount that you're paying to Sierra charts every month. Sierra charts ends up being about the same, if not more expensive. So they've been able to push down here to the bottom without really having the accompanying advantage in market orders. Sierra charts requires an endless amount of time setting up charts that should be... it doesn't seem to me that the people that are developing it or designing it are really traders. so it just feels janky. And it is janky because it was basically like they created a C++ platform, and then, you know, they added the product manager basically forced the engineers to add every little feature they possibly could come up with from other platforms. And there was never any kind of unified vision or anything. They just stuck it in there wherever they could fit it. I don't know. Gets me back on the thought of making my own platform. I really think I could make a good platform. I'm a little concerned that like the state of desktop platform development right now is not really in the best of places for me to really make a super amazing, like the GUI that I want. Like, I think that you should be able to have a UI that updates 250 times a second. I think that seems realistic for just a desktop application that's not doing 3D rendering or anything like that. Rust can do it, but nobody has made a platform that really targets that. They've made, like in Rust, there's Iced, for instance, which is really good at making GUIs, but it's pretty focused towards, you know, I have buttons and things like that. And integrating the charts with it is kind of a little bit like fuzzy. I'm not quite sure the best way to do it. And, you know, there's all sorts of issues with GUIs and Rust. So, like, really maybe the best way to develop a desktop application right now and have it be performant is still C++, which I don't like either. So it's just kind of, I don't think that the tech is quite there. But I think we could push through it. It's just, that would be a lot. It'd be a lot harder, you know? It'd be a lot harder. Did we really get above 53? They're at... I'm wondering, do I have things setting wrong here? No, deviation trigger is 3. Okay, it must have just settled back really quickly, or had counter trading against it. Yeah, but I think that the initial investment that would be required to make a new platform is just too much right now. If I had decided to do it like, well, maybe during 2020 or before that, maybe it would have been a more practical thing. And hey, interest rates may yet normalize. Make it more viable. And I do think things are better. So I got this new cabinet behind me. Nobody ever really said anything, but you know, that's I have the black background super blurry. Maybe I should decrease the, well, I don't know what we're gonna do. I have a little bit of room. I could make the background sharper. Then you could see it. But or I can just do this. Oh, yeah, that looks pretty good. So I went and I got that glass cabinet. Pokemon nerd, yeah. I mostly have that one down at the bottom because I don't want the kids to ruin that one. They get a little bit older and then they can have Jolteon. Hey, this is going pretty good so far. I'm surprised. But are they actually going to break out is the problem. anyways, so I did that because anytime that the kids would come into my office, they would take all of the books off of the bookshelf and just make the room an absolute mess. So I did that. I cleaned things up. So the only stuff on my desk really are things that I'm okay with them touching. I do have one thing over here that's a little. I have like one of those, like it's like a little glass table that has sand in it, and there's a magnet with a ball that rolls around and draws pictures in it. And I think I'm going to take that to work at some point. Yeah, a Zen table, is that what? I forget the brand of it, though. The brand isn't Zen. They did a Kickstarter, and my wife got in on the Kickstarter, and now it's a super popular thing. I tell you what, man, every Kickstarter that I've ever done became a big deal. Like the fidget cube is possibly like the most successful Kickstarter ever. This is an original fidget cube. What was the name of the table? Oasis Mini. Do you think that TradingView is worth the price for premium? So, unfortunately, TradingView just isn't really very good for futures trading. I do think, especially if you're really watching stocks, that TradingView is possibly the best charting platform. And mind you, I've been using TradingView since year one. This is another one of those things. I don't know. I'm pretty good at picking up on things like when they first start. Started using Jira the first year that it started up. Started using TradingView the first year that it started up. The thing that was funny is that the reason I went towards TradingView was because all of the other charting platforms that I tried to use at the time did not work through Goldman Sachs firewall. So, yeah. Now, you can pay for the premium, and then you pay for the futures data, and then you get live futures data. That's what I did when I worked for Goldman, to get futures data, because the ways that they had to get the futures data was way too expensive for me at the time. But it's just doesn't hold a candle to Jigsaw or NinjaTrader, for instance, for futures specific stuff. There are some limitations in there, like there are things like footprint charts and things like that in TradingView. There are things like footprint charts and cumulative delta in TradingView, but it does it all with tick level data instead of with market depth data. So you really can't do market depth in TradingView. So like there's inherent limitations to it, okay? But if you're not actively trading and you just want to get the live futures data, then it's a pretty good option. And being able to, the extra little features that you get, like being able to have multiple charts up in a grid and things like that, are useful. So I don't want to waste too much time optimizing costs if I don't have a winning strategy yet. Well, so the way that I would think of it is this. When you start day trading, regardless of what kind of day trading you're going to be doing, but especially if you're going to be day trading futures, you are pretty much almost guaranteed to lose money when you're just starting out. Like, there's a lot of things about this that just kind of work against your natural instincts for starters. And then if you take all of the information that I can give you, things like that the market is more statistically efficient than it is informationally efficient. Here are the statistical properties of the market that we can actually verify. And you really utilize the news and understand things. Well, that takes a long time. It takes a long time to understand that and get enough experience futures trading to really be competent at it. And I mean, many, many years. So you pretty much have to assume that you're going to lose money. So when you're starting out, you got to think of in terms of burn rate, right? I need to be able to trade for X long. And if I am paying this much on data fees and platform, et cetera, and then I am losing this much as well, how many months can that go on before I have to refund? And then when I do refund, am I saving money away somewhere else? Do I have other income coming in to continue to support that trading hobby that I have? And you've got to get yourself to a place where you can continue, that burn for several years. So when you're looking at things and it's like, another $50 for this and $50 for that, like it adds up over time. So I would really figure out what do I need? What's the base of what I need? And then reduce all other costs. I feel like News Squawk is a big one. For me, I don't pay monthly for the News Squawk because I got in with Financial Juice when they had an option, a lifetime option. So my main cost is the data and Jigsaw. And I make enough from the live trades and the stream to be able to continue doing that perpetually. Even if I'm not trading very well. Luckily, over the past 2 years or so that we've been doing micro futures, we've done pretty okay. So but I look at things that, like we did I paid for a service to do a webinar thing. Not enough people were interested in the webinar, so we canceled it. It's okay, but it's just every one of those things. We'll have a mailing list. We pay monthly to deal with the mailing list. There's all of these little, like when we look at the speculators at the business as a whole, there's all of these little costs that, I'm not really taking advantage of. Right? If somebody were to, wanted to be like, okay, I'm just going to do the marketing for you. They sent out things on the mailing list regularly and made regular posts and everything. I bet you that probably somebody that's really skilled could probably do that and be really successful with it. But I don't right now. I definitely don't have the time. I'm just not inclined that way. I don't put much effort into it, So I have these things that are things that, well, hopefully someday they will pay off, right? But sometimes I'm like, maybe I should just cancel that. What would be the running cost for NinjaTrader? So for NinjaTrader, there's like an upfront cost for the platform. Well, you can do it multiple different ways, right? But if you just pay the $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever it is for the lifetime license right at the front, and then you're using NinjaTrader as your broker, then the only costs for you after that are the standard $30 or whatever it is for the data. They don't have a monthly fee like the other ones do. Their model is people pay everything up front instead. It works pretty well. Now the other thing is that, like, if you're just starting out and you're trying to reduce your burn rate and everything, you can do sim. You can do sim accounts for a while and try them out. I would always get a sim account with a broker first before, you know, doing the flip. You know, so they were showing at 28.5. There was a few orders hit into 28.5, but then it folded back on itself pretty quickly. So that was kind of curious. My robot shifted around short there. I kind of suspect that it's still going to go higher though. Okay. They took 28 again, not a strong bid. Right, and the offers are kind of stacking up there. So it kind of feels to me like it's still range bound and that the market makers that are long are taking inventory off there because they're not convinced this is going to go higher. This strip is not. That's true. Well, I'm seeing some flattening in the curve. Seeing some flattening in the curve. But it seems more pronounced in the 2 and 10 part of the curve than the other parts. So that might be impact from auction. But be able to get the well, yeah, you should. I would highly recommend avoiding the professional fee. I think unless you are running a commodities trading advisor business, that you probably shouldn't be paying for the professional fee. Or you're a funded trader at one of their prop firms. I always forget about that. One of the big reasons why a lot of the prop firms offer like perpetual live sim, where you're not actually trading against the market, is because if they get funded and they actually are submitting live orders, then they fall under the qualifications where they have to pay for the professional fee and everything. And you would think if they're really that good of a trader, like to get through all of the hurdles that you have to get through to get to that point where you would be funded, you should be a really good trader. So shouldn't the professional fee be trivial at that point? But it's not. One lot stuck at the high NZF. Yeah, you're right. Futures desk leases a seat for you and pays for your data once you're funded? Really? Have you met anybody that's actually been funded though? So some of these prop firms, when I read the rules and everything, I'm kind of like, has anybody ever actually been put live? Because I kind of suspect no. They're like doing everything that they can to avoid anybody ever going live. Okay, what is the synthetic dollar index? Is it the same thing as DXY? If so, I know why you're watching it. Does it influence the CB? Yeah, so it is essentially the same thing as DXY. Except for that it is calculated from the FX futures on the CME rather than from the Forex pairs. Okay. So if you were to look at the synthetic dollar index, like the actual price, and compared it to the dollar index or DXY, or, you know, there's DX on another exchange. The actual numbers are going to be a little bit different, but you'll see that the bars and the charts are all pretty much the same. Okay. So does it influence the ZB? So you want to kind of sort out where the correlations are. So sometimes there is a correlation between the treasuries and the dollar, and sometimes there's not. Sometimes, well, usually there's some correlation with the Japanese yen. So I have all of these other assets. If you come and you look at my charts, I've got gold, copper, Japanese yen, Bitcoin, oil, S&P 500, and then the whole treasury curve here, right? So I'm kind of looking at when we have a move up, okay, do I see a move up happening in any of the other instruments in correlation with it? If no, then I start to game out, okay, what was this flow? So I find the dollar index to be incredibly valuable, especially if you're going to be trading a hard commodity like oil or copper or corn. How are you trading without knowing what the value of the currency you're trading in is doing? Don't you think that that should be an important factor? So I honestly feel like I wouldn't be able. I would be very uncomfortable trading without my dollar index up. I'm constantly looking back at that to see, is this flow something isolated to the treasuries, or is it the treasuries really reacting to a currency flow? I wish that my algorithm was still long, but it did end up flipping around and going short through all of that. Oh, by the way, it's 7:54, so it's almost time for us to get going. I just checked the interest rates that NinjaTrader offers, and they don't have the UB in there. Oh, I'm pretty sure that you do get UB though. So like, there's like their status starter or whatever, and that one doesn't give you all. Or like if you do a demo account, I think that you'll be able to see the 10-year, but like not the 5-year, for instance. And I think you can see the 30-year, but not the Ultra 30. But if you pay for the CME bundle, which includes CME, CBOT, and NYMEX, then you get them. Well, I feel like this was the most boring session ever. Actually, I was pretty interested in it most of the time. I was actually a little bit more engaged today than I usually am. But I didn't really take any, not even a sim trade. I don't trade, I just invest long term and learning about futures right now. So I'm asking all. Oh, yeah. See, in that situation, that's where, like, yeah, maybe the Trading View Pro subscription would be totally worth it for you. I think that being on the front lines and seeing what the treasuries are doing in particular really, really informs your view of the rest of the market. And a lot of the really good investments that I've made have been because of what I learned from the treasuries, right? So even if you're not making money from the futures trading, it can still be overall worth it. So now it's flipping long again, huh? Right there on that downtick. That's interesting. Well, I'm going to leave it going to see. I would expect it to do poorly in this market, but we'll see how poorly. So far today, well, it lost one tick on this, but remember, that's where I was like, it should have gotten one tick better on the entry. Not on the exit, but on the entry, it should have gotten one tick better. So that one's a scratch. And then this one right here was a scratch too, although it did get some really good favorable excursion. So it's actually performing better than I would expect it to, but it's not making money, right? It's just not losing as much as I would think in this market regime. But it's time for me to get going. I got to drive in, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Might be a little bit more interesting of a day because it's like the only economic news we get this week. In the meantime, stay